So in our last video, we discussed about how we can send data from an HTML page to PHP for processing. For simplicity, I have just modified the HTML page to have fewer values. Like for example, from the previous video, I have just retained first name, last name, shirt type, and size. Okay, of course, we have the buy now and the clear button. So if I press on clear, it will clear the contents of the components, and we are supposed to press sub buy now as we fill in the values, and we have introduced the required field for HTML components, because of which if I try to press buy now without any values, it will automatically ask me to fill out the details. Okay, so remember that we have actually used a form to submit the values. The name of the form we haven't specified, but we have specified the method and the action. So what do you mean by this? The method will specify how the data has to be submitted. We are using the post method out of the two, which is get and post, and the action is that the data from this form will be submitted to a page called as test.php. Okay, means from the HTML page, the data is going to be submitted for test.php. Now in this video, we will have a look at how we can access that value from the HTML page in PHP. Okay, so let us just go back to our test.php. Okay, so in this test.php page, so I have just typed in few statements. Okay, but before that, let me explain how we get the value from our HTML page into this PHP page. So whenever we click on buy now in the page, what will happen is the data is going to be sent through post method, and the value that has been given there, that can be accessed by using a special variable called as $_post, and then you are supposed to give in the name of the component from which you are getting the data from. Okay, like for example, in my purchase detail, I have a text box called as first name. Okay, so the name of that particular text box is first name. So if I want to get the value from this text box, then in my PHP page, I have to use $_post. Why I am using $_post? Because we are using the post method. Okay, so we are going to use $_post, and then I am supposed to specify the name of the component here. So what is the name of the component? The name of the component is first name. Similarly, if I want to get the data from the second text box, what is the name of the text box? The name of the text box is last name, and the method by which the data is getting submitted is post. Okay, so how do I access that value, or how can I get that value? I can get that value from $_post of what is the name of the component. The name of the component is last name. Okay, just like that, what are the other two components? The other two components are the select or the combo box that I have. I have given it the name select one, and also I have also given the radio button, which is for selecting the size. The name of that I have given as size. Okay, so I'll just use the same value. So $_post of select one will give me what are the values in the combo box, and $_post of size. Okay, now be careful that the name however you have given, so you need to specify as it is. Like here F is capital, so you need to specify F as capital here. So whatever name you have given, use the same one to access the values in the PHP page. Okay, now of course just having these will not do anything, or it will not show up anything. So in order to show up these values, I will use a statement called as echo. Okay, so what echo does is it will simply print whatever value is given as a parameter to it. So you can simply print strings also, like for example echo, these are the values. Okay, I just want to print this value. So these are the values from purchase details. I'm just printing this value, so you can use semicolon. Okay, and because I'm using HTML, I will also use BR. You already know why do we use BR. It's a line break. So I'm just using it as a slash n. Okay. So after that, I need to see whether I'm getting the values correctly or not. So I will print out all the values of these variables. I'll print out all the values of these variables. So let me see whether I'm getting the correct value. So every statement here has to end with a semicolon. Okay. And also let me print out slash t just to differentiate one value from the other. So right, so let us see whether we can get the value from our PHP. Now one more thing is that in your PHP code or in your PHP file, all the PHP code needs to be written within this tag, you can say. Like for example, it will start with an angular bracket question mark PHP, and to end this PHP code you have to use question mark and angular bracket. Okay, so within this tag, if you have written anything, that will be considered as a PHP code, and it will be processed by the processor, right? So let us now go back to our uh, web page. Okay, so this is our web page now. So I'm going to click on buy now. It is asking me to fill out the fields, right? So I'll simply fill out some field. So I'm selecting half sleeves and size is medium or large. Okay, now I'm going to click buy now. So now you can see that the data has been submitted to test.php, and this is what I'm getting. So these are the values from purchase details. So first one is Rahul, name, first name, last name is Khanna. He has selected half sleeves shirt, and the size that he has selected is medium. Okay, so now we are getting the values from our HTML page. Okay, so if I go back and if I change the values, okay, like I'll change the values to something else, summer. Okay, uh, okay, let it be fearless and large. Right now, if I click on buy now, as you can observe, the data is coming to test.php with those values that have specified in the front end. So we are getting the values from the front end to the PHP page. But what do we do with these values? Okay, so right now what I have done is I have just displayed the values. Okay, I've just displayed the values. But what if we want to store these values in a database? So that is our next task. So we would like to accept the details from the user, and we would like to store the values in our database. Okay, now for this purpose, I will create a database for you in MySQL. We are already familiar with how to create a database in MySQL. So I'll create a database, and I will also create a table to store in the purchase details, right? And I will store in whatever value I'm giving in the form. So all those details I will try to store in a table that I'm going to create next. So now let us look at how to create a table, and we shall actually demonstrate how to insert the values from the front end to the back end by making use of PHP. Okay, now let me go to MySQL. I've already started MySQL server. If you don't know how to start a MySQL server, just click on WAMP and click on PHP MyAdmin. So it will open up the PHP MyAdmin page for you. So this is the page. So I'm going to create a database now. So how do we create a database? I've already demonstrated that. So click on database, and let me name this database as a test database, or maybe test2. I already have test and test1. So I'm going to create, okay, I'll create a new database. Maybe I'll call it as shopping. Okay, so I'll create a database of shopping, and I'll click on create. So this shopping database has now been created, and now I'm going to create a table in shopping. So how do we create a table? So it's giving you a provision to create a table. Otherwise, you can always use the SQL command prompt to create a table. But this time, I'm going to create a table by making use of the interface provided by MySQL. So let me create a table called as purchase info. And how many columns do I want? So how many columns are there in the uh, form? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 input are there. So I'll create 4 table with 4 columns, but I will add one more column to it. I will keep it as ID. Okay, so I'm going to click on go. So now there is a provision for us to create the uh, attributes of that particular table. So let me go with ID. So I'm going to call it as purchase ID. Okay, so PUR underscore ID. So the next one is first name, the second one is last name, and the third one is of course the type, right? So it is shared type. So I'll just give it as type. Okay, and then I'm going to specify the size. Okay, or let us be very clear that this is the shared size and this is the shared type. So these are the 4 values. Of course, now we need to give the data type of the same. So for purchase ID, I will keep it as integer. And I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to click on this a underscore I, which actually stands for auto increment. Okay, what this does is whenever you insert a value into the table, it will automatically increment the value. So it will automatically generate the ID for you. So this is the help of this. So we did not discuss about this feature earlier. That's why we are using it here. So it's auto increment. And for first name, of course, we need varchar. I'll keep the size as 20. For last name also, I'll keep it as varchar. Size is 20. Shirt type is once again varchar. I'll keep it as 20. And shirt size is also varchar. I'll keep it as 20. So depending upon your requirement, you can select the values for first name, last name, shirt type, and size. Okay. Now I'll give save. Okay, so now the table has been created. So this is the table, of course, does not have any values as of now, but our aim is to insert the values into this table by using PHP. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, so let us do that. So let me go back to that page now, test.php. So as we are seeing, so we are supposed to insert the values through our PHP code. So that we shall see in the next part.